All right, there we go. There's my thumb again. Hello, little thumb.
Good morning. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow, the Dear Becky and Lizzy edition.
Yep. And, okay. I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in sunny again, going to warm up.
It was warmer today than it was for our drive-in yesterday.
Yes.
Instead of 20-something, it was 30-something.
I didn't have to have my gloves on when I was replacing the wipers in my car. That means it wasn't quite as cold.
No, it was... Yesterday, it was like 20-something in my whole drive-in, and today it was 30-something. Oh. And I was like, ooh.
And who are you, by the way?
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
All right. So I have to, before we... Wait. Shoot. We were getting some stuff set up for today, and I use my gleaner, which is what I was just looking for, on knit night. So we might be getting around to like fun gadgets for people. And I don't know, oh, there it is. I don't know if you can tell on camera. You probably can't. I gleaned my sweater.
It looks all new
and fancy. And there's still some fuzzies, but not half as many. And I have to show you. So a reminder that this is the gleaner. We didn't actually bring one over here for this thing, so at least I'm glad I have this. With different settings inside. Comes in solid colors or colors that match the little case. And if you came to Tuesday Knit Night, you saw me going to town on this sweater. And just because I'm crazy, I brought in, this is how much I pulled.
She brought in the fuzz.
I brought in the fuzz. All that came off of this. I probably could have kept going. I don't want to, you know, like strip it of everything. But impressive, right? Looks like a little mouse in my hands.
It's a mouse.
Another reason to bring it in or throw it away is so my cat doesn't eat it.
It's true.
Which could segue. We gotta pause. I'm gonna cut all that out. Okay, we're back. I got a phone call I had to take. And I'm gonna try to remember to cut that out so you don't have to listen to my phone call. Where were we? I don't know.
We had just finished your gleaner. Yeah. And something about cats, which would be a great segue
to our Dear Becky and Lizzy. And what's really funny is we've said before that because we're basing this off of Dear Abby. And yes, I used to be called Becky like all the time. But we said it's only in the context of this episode that we're Becky and Lizzy for most purposes. And I have people emailing me now calling me Becky, and I'm like, well, that's cute, but that's not really me anymore. But that's cute, so you can still do that. But I'll just know that I'm sitting here going, that's cute. Because I'm Rebecca now, really. You know, it's weird. Okay, aside while you pull that up, my parents wanted me to be a Becca when I was a kid. And I put my foot down when I was about 5 and said, no, I'm Becky. And that lasted till like college. Anyway, aside done. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. So this we got on submission to your website email.
Yes.
Like,
but it came through as what appeared to be
a Dear
Becky and Lizzy. So we're addressing it on the show, and hopefully the person who wrote it will see it, and I'll try to hit reply to their message and say we did a show about it. Yay! So what do we got?
So it says, Dear Becky and Lizzy. She even addresses it as Dear Becky and Lizzy. I rescued a 3-month-old kitten from a shelter on November 11th.
Yay!
And now I'm afraid to knit. I'm on the pod section of my Papillon shawl, and I'm afraid she will destroy it. Do you have any tips on how to keep my very curious kitten away from my yarn? I've been knitting 48 years and don't want to stop now. Thank you. Need to knit.
Need to knit. So, dear Need to Knit, I apologize. You might have had to wait like a week to hear from us. But I think it is better for us to talk about this than try to write it out in an email. First of all, thank you for rescuing that kitten. That's fantastic. That's what I did with my cat. And we have our moments, but I'm still glad I did. And he's, for the most part, pretty good with my yarn. I will say he attacked my yarn the other day, and then I got to the part where he'd attacked it, and it was wet, and it's kind of gross. But that's neither here nor there. So, valid concern. I don't know if you've actually tested with this kitten to see if this kitten is interested in yarn, because honestly, for the most part, my cat is not. He goes through phases.
Your cat tends to like to curl up
on my knitting.
On your knitting.
Yeah.
Sometimes will lick your knitted objects, and that's
more of my danger. Yeah, is so I would say on the whole, it may be a gentle easing in and testing. Maybe you want to test with something that's not your Papillon to see how your cat reacts to your knitting. And it could be you've already done that and you're sitting at home going, yeah, but, you know, like you've already discovered the cat is like, ooh, yarn, ooh, 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 you know.
With any pet, especially new kitten, puppy pets, is if you value it, keep it out of there. It's difficult, but it's almost like baby proofing.
Yeah, it's like baby. It's totally like baby proofing. It's baby proofing, but with sharp. Like it's like a baby who has sharp things on them.
A baby Wolverine.
But no, it's really about vigilance. It's about, if you value it, you need to not lose track of it, and make sure, like, some of the biggest dangers can be from when it is not in your presence, when you're not working on it. It can be, like I said, I put my cat likes to sit on my sweaters, and sometimes that's a good distraction for him, so I put the sweater somewhere else so he'll lie on it. But my Wintersall I was wearing yesterday has snags and pulls on it that can't be gleaned off, and it can only kind of be sucked into it because it was stuck in my cat's tongue. Is what I think happened. It's got strands coming off of it. It hasn't fallen apart, and it hasn't pilled in a way that I can shave off. It's these long wispy tendrils that are, I'm like, really? Because my cat was probably bathing himself and then either overshot or decided that my sweater needed a bath. That is actually a thing with my cat. So, so one thing to keep in mind would be when you're not with it to watch it, you really need to be vigilant about putting it away somewhere safe, sealing it up, Ziploc bags, project bags, right? I've heard stories from Knit and Chat and people of their stuff getting peed on by pets, which means don't keep it down low, even though that's comfortable because it's by your chair or something. If the cat's feeling territorial, or the dog, sometimes they're just wankers, but sometimes, and still adorable. But if it's something that like a cat or a dog, sometimes if they feel like that's a reason you're not paying attention to them, they will get jealous of it. And yeah, they'll either say it's theirs or they'll take out their jealousy on it. And sometimes you can't come back from that. And it sounds like you've put a lot of work into this Papillon. So that would be anytime you're not working on it. And my cat can climb, so that creates its own obstacles. But anytime you're not working on it, you might want to put it in something that is pee-proof, or spray-proof, that kind of thing, and maybe keep it on a shelf somewhere where you know the cat's not going. And that's one thing. Then there's when you're actually trying to knit. Or crochet.
Everybody likes their yarn bowls because it contains your yarn. Mm-hmm. We used to have Lantern Moon knit out boxes,
which were these silk little box shaped things that encapsulated your yarn.
They were great. People with cats, or
the cat could still
swoop it around and it wouldn't break.
It's squished down into small spaces. That was
and anything that's battable. Mm-hmm. One of our knitters, she has a young kitten as well, and she got a yarn in.
And mine's at home, and the glare from the windows is kind of. I'm gonna
angle.
We're actually gonna open this up to show y'all.
I can do it, really, because it's all taped.
She thinks I can't handle tape.
Well, it'd be easier if you sliced the tape. But
I'm not going to slice the tape. Anyway, keep talking. Bam, Liz.
Anyway, so she got the yarn to put her yarn in so the cat didn't have something to like mess up the yarn batting it around.
Because this thing is kind of genius.
Was like super interested in the ball of yarn. Not the project, but the ball of yarn. There's like a billion layers to that.
Okay. Except for the tape on the sides. This I need to... Scissors. We're going to talk about scissors later.
So she got.
I'm just trying to prove Liz wrong that I can handle myself.
She got to yarn it to encapsulate the ball of yarn, and the cat's like, no, I don't want to be anywhere near it. And so she has started knitting back to knitting again since they got the cat. But all of her projects she has to stick in project bags. If it's in a blue shop bag, the cat has pulled it out.
Right.
So it's got to be like completely contained.
This thing is so cool, and hopefully we can get it back in the package because we only have a few of these. I have more on the list to bring in next week. But this will protect your ball of yarn.
Yes.
Because I will say, Avi, when he was little, he grabbed a twisted skein I had not wound up yet. And he jumped on it. He does this with paper towel rolls and stuff now. He jumped on it and all his feet around it, and then his back legs, he went. So this will protect once it's in a ball. It has a hinge to keep it shut. It's closed right now. But put your yarn in there. Your ball of yarn will not be pounced on by the cat and shredded because it's in here. And there are two different places. There's one place that's just a hole, but it's still on that open clothesline, so you can easily release your yarn. And there's another one that is a hole with an opening that goes to the top if you want to pull straight up out of the top. It has a bottom that's rubber, so it'll stick on the table mostly, unless you yank real hard on it. And if we open this up, you can take that off. I've heard, I think I've said this before, that this fits in a cup holder in the car as long as you're not going around heavy turns. There is a strap in here that you can loop through this top part if you want to have it as a carry.
Or you could hang it somewhere.
Or you could, that actually would probably be better for the cat.
Pull it up off the floor.
Yeah, pull it up off the floor. So this is actually what we would recommend, and its bigger cousin is the Big Sully, which is just off camera. You could put 2 balls of yarn in that one. This will protect the ball. It will not protect what is going from your ball to your project. Again, that might be a vigilance thing. Big Sully made his little cameo. Woo. It will not protect when you're pulling it. If the cat is seeing the motion and going, ooh, what's that? There's still a danger. I think it's almost impossible unless your cat is somehow just not interested in yarn, and that's fantastic. Like the stereotype that cats like to chase balls of yarn does not apply to all cats because not all cats are the same. But it could apply to your cat, whoever's asking the question and whoever's watching. Like I said, my cat is only randomly interested in yarn running around, but he is, but not very often. And I think there was one time I had to chase him because he had yarn hanging out of his mouth. And I had to yank it and pull it. There was more than just that little piece hanging out of his mouth. And when my cat was having some digestive issues, the vet asked, wait, you have yarn at home? It didn't turn out to be anything yarn related, but it's a concern with cats. So you need to figure out, you actually need to test and find out if your cat or kitten or dog, because I've had dogs take yarn all over the place.
Oh yeah.
How they react to yarn. And honestly, sadly, if they're really overreactive, you can protect your ball. But if they're going to chase and pounce on either your project or the yarn that is coming from the ball to your project, you may need to close your cat in another room while you're knitting.
Yeah. It
may come to that.
Or find some behavior modification.
Yes, that's true. That's another possibility. Like other toys that the cat can play with, other things that can keep the cat engaged. If the only thing the cat likes are things that move around, and you don't want to be doing this while you're trying to knit, with a wand or something, I will never forget when I told my sister my cat needed to exercise more, and she's like, you can exercise a cat? And I'm like, you are not a cat person. Because yes, you can exercise a cat. It's actually pretty easy, but you need toys. They do have some motorized toys, and not all are expensive, that you turn them on and they'll roll around on the floor.
Yeah. And
especially for a kitten, that might absolutely keep the kitten occupied. My cat will look at it and go, do you think I'm daft? He liked it for like 10 minutes. So it all depends. It depends on what your resources are, and your funds are, and your cat specifically, because every cat is different. But there are, I actually had a mechanized laser pointer. It was this little mini tower thing. It was only like this big. I had it for my dog more. I had cats at the time, and it will rotate and put out a little laser pointer for your animals to chase. And my dog had a lot more fun with that than the cats I had at the time.
Cats were kind of like,
the cats were like, eh. But my dog was like, what? Where'd it go?
The cats were probably more excited watching the dog. Like, oh look, the dog is being entertained.
Right?
You know.
But you know, that's, I mean, I think that's, I don't know what you would want to add to that.
It's with any pet child, small thing that would like to get into stuff.
I put it back together.
It's in the simplest form, either baby proofing or, you know, just paying attention to, you know.
Paying attention. It could be, I mean, desensitizing the cat to it. It could be that the cat is like, yay, I want to chase this. And you have to start by putting him in another room, him or her.
Yeah.
And then gently, like little periods of time where it's like, if they jump on your stuff, you go, nope, we're done, and put them in another room. And then a little longer and a little getting them used to, oh, I can stay with mommy if I don't mess with stuff. And believe it or not, like cats can be trained. Some are untrainable. My cat has learned some words, and he's better about some things. So, but the idea that cats have no memory or are never going to learn, I don't believe that.
Even goldfish can learn.
How long they remember.
Yeah, but a cat will learn. It just depends on whether the cat chooses to let you know he's learned,
or like if it's actually important to him. Or not. Because it could be like, oh, I get it, I just don't care.
Yeah, that's the strong will of a cat.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's the advice we would give you: is be careful and test out your cat, maybe with something that isn't as important, and find ways to keep the things that the cat, if the cat is enticed by it, to keep it like locked down or in another room or somewhere safe.
And you can, like our knitter who got the yarnet for her kitten, to test whether or not the kitten had a thing for yarn, she went back to some older projects that were out of like Encore or cheaper yarn that you don't mind losing.
You don't mind if they shred a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, and then it was, oh, yeah, this isn't going to work. And what can I do to get this?
It could be, like I said, it could be knitting in a different room or knitting outside if you got to get your Papillon done. And you're finding that the cat is like, ooh, yarn, you know, or ooh, project, or you're not paying attention to me. Yeah. So I think that's the best we can do on that one for now. You can always follow up with more questions or clarifying statements or whatever. We're happy to expound more.
You know us.
You know us. We can talk about this stuff all day. And so on that note, so I was thinking, what else can we do? Because we have one letter. We could keep talking about that, but not everyone might want to hear about cats and dogs at the moment, or have that be an issue. So
Christmas is coming.
Yes, Christmas is coming.
So these are not products of the week, but they're stocking stuffer ideas.
Yes.
Little things go in a stocking.
Because that's the thing. We have people who come all the time and say, I want to shop for my husband, wife, daughter, son, you know, grandmother, grandfather, and they work with yarn. What should I get them? And oftentimes they come in and they're like, I want to get them yarn. And we're just like,
do you know what kind of yarn they like? Oh, no. No, we don't.
Do you know what you see them? You see them knitting with thin or thick stuff? I don't know.
Do
Or
they
might
use
know.
do they use a hook or needles? I don't know. They just
or they know really specific. The easiest thing, if you are a crafter and you want things for Christmas, be specific. Tell your friends and family exactly. You might think like, well, where's the magic in that? No. But magic is all well and good, but then you get stuff that you're like, this is nice. What the heck am I going to do with this? It's thoughtful.
Like, hey, I'd like a ball of yarn for Christmas. Okay, here's how that game can be played. You could get one ball of super bulky yarn because the color was cool and your loved one picked that out. But it's only like 55 yards of yarn and you're going to need almost 2 for a hat.
And you're a crocheter.
And you crochet, yeah.
Yeah, then suddenly it's like, this is going to make me a little doily.
Yeah.
Or a little swatch.
So, right? Give them options. Hey, I'd like hand-dyed yarn when you're out on vacation.
I'd like just a memento of where you went, or I'd like, locally dyed yarn. If you're going to get yarn, if you know they like that, that can be a nice thing to get them. Or if it's like, well, she never knits or crochets with nice stuff because it's not in her budget. That's very well intentioned and awesome. But again, if you get her one skein of yarn, it might just go up on a shelf to be admired because it's not enough for her to make something out. It's still I mean, you still do it. It's still a nice gesture.
I've done that with fabric.
Yeah.
Like,
did someone give you fabric?
Somebody gave me like 1 yard of fabric because, it was a husband. My husband.
It was a husband. It turns out it's her.
And it was like, here's some fabric because you put fabric down on your wish list. And I was like, you've known me for over 20 years. You know that 1 yard of fabric isn't enough to do.
He probably thought you could put it in a patchwork something. I don't know.
Well, he paid for it dearly because I went back and bought the other 5 yards that I needed. I'm like, our oldest child went with him shopping and it was like, sure. And I'm like, Micaiah, it's always 5 yards or whatever's left on the bolt. Like
whatever. Yeah. So, well, and here's what we consider maybe more of a fail-safe. Because if someone comes in and says, I want to get, again, like my husband or wife, something for Christmas and they knit or they work, I see them holding yarn, right? We say, well, unless you have a specific idea, you have a list of what they want, especially in terms of yarn. Sometimes it's safer to go with the gadgets, to go with the notions.
And on that note as well, we've had some husbands come in and go, hey, my wife and you know what she likes.
Shout out to We Won't Say.
Here's the problem with that. We can look up what they bought, but sometimes it's a lot of overwhelming with everybody. Like
everybody's talking about things they like or things they want, and then it's like, notes.
Oh crap!
It's like they might like this. I mean, chances are, if they like gadgets and notions, they'll like gadgets and notions. Yeah.
We can see if they've bought the gadgets and notions that you're wanting to buy, but we know a lot of people and they all like all different kinds of yarns. So very few in that category can we say, yes, she will want this.
Unless they give us a list. We used to do that. We used to let people roam the shop with our scanner and scan all the things they want, and then it became a quote. It became their wish list for Christmas. So other people could come in and be like, what does Brooke want?
I want to say there's a wish list function on your...
There is. Shopping. I don't know how to get to it.
Well,
but it might be something
we had a husband come in and his wife printed off her wish list. Like, she put everything in her wish list and he printed it off. And then he came up to the shop and he was like, okay, I want this, 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 this. Mm-hmm. And it was the best shopping. So if you want to do a wish list, it's super, it's there.
I just hope we're not giving anything away. But no, it's cool. Multiple people have used it. That's my cover. No,
it's there.
It's
so,
really neat.
You know.
No, but I really am like there are certain things you can't have enough of. Like if someone comes in and says, I want to buy some needles for my wife, I might go, it's the
Does
same
she
thing
like
as yarn.
thin
Do
or
we,
thick
do we
or
know if she already has
double
it?
point?
Yeah, like there's a lot of what does she already have? Like if it's an interchangeable set, like going whole hog, the big turkey of getting them a whole set of needles. Now that's thoughtful because then, and it's also pricey, but it's very thoughtful because then there's options. Then it's not like, well, I already have a size 5
It's not
needle.
necessarily a stocking stuffer. It's a going under the tree.
Yeah, see, my family, we put calendars next to the stockings so they count as stocking ideas, but they're bigger. But yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. We just threw out the language of stocking stuffer. This doesn't fit in a stocking, but this is a wonderful idea for someone who needs yarn containment and durability and all these kinds of things.
And your cat's knocked that around.
He's knocked this off the table, the one I have at home, which is why we had to open this one up because it's still at home. He's knocked it off the table multiple times as he shuffles by with his bum, and it's still fine, still works. So, but other small things, like you can't go wrong with gadgets and gizmos, I think, unless you think it's something they'll never use. But yeah, scissors. I mean, for every project bag, for every room, for every, like, how many of you have been with me at knit night and I'm sitting there, cat, I'm kitty locked on the bed, I can't get up, and I need scissors.
And every one of us goes, hey, we got scissors for you, but they won't go through Zoom.
Yeah, but if I had some in my bedside table.
And scissors, like I said with the Maker's Keep, scissors go for any crafter, not just knitter, crocheter.
And
like, I have probably 10 pairs of the little Bryson scissors.
Ones are fantastic. And these guys
have them next to my sewing machine.
All of our colorful ones
everywhere.
That have been out of stock.
They just came back in.
They just came back in. So like this little purple got all the different colors have different shapes. He's a seahorse. He's my favorite.
The red one, my favorite, is almost butterfly.
They might be online, but I have to take pictures still. Is that a butterfly?
It's got wingy looking things, but it's decorative.
The red and the gold are the ones I don't have names for on there because they have just shapes, right?
The blue is a cat.
Is really cool. The lanky cat. The pink is like a little flamingo swan looking guy.
I'm not sure the green has.
It's the classic peacock scissors kind of. It's not so much.
Oh, it does look okay. You have to look at it the right way.
Yeah, it's not so much really like you can see the pattern in the kind of hatched pattern.
The head going down into the tail and the head going down into the tail.
So it's a double-sided peacock. It's not like one animal. Yeah. But those are the classic peacock scissors. We have some more coming from DMC next week. We'll advertise. We'll tell you about them if they come in. They're seahorses.
Oh, they're seahorses.
I already showed them off in front of my face because they won't show off against the yarn.
And then we have, I call them the preemie. They're premium mini scissors, but I call them preemies. They're
super sharp and itty bitty.
Shortest blades, but they're regular size finger holes. They're my favorite. But I have like 2 pairs of the black.
Those are up on the website.
Creamy ones. Yep. And then I have probably 10 pairs of these.
Which is why they've been out of stock for so long.
Just the red ones. But like
popular
they're great because if you do paper cutting, they've got really nice little points. The preemies will get really tight in there. If you do yarn, if you do sewing, anybody that ever there was that needed a quick pair of scissors.
Scissors are awesome. And I mentioned the gleaners. We've got the gleaners up online. Those are awesome it's not just for sweaters. The lint brush on it can be used for so many things. We have tape measures, like the Cocoa Knits is our fanciest tape measure that we've talked about recently. We have a bunch of we have cutesy woodland tape measures up online and not super expensive and adorable, if adorable is your thing. Stitch stoppers in regular size and jumbo are always fantastic for keeping your stitches on your needles. I will quantify this with some of these things. What we just talked about with the scissors, the gleaners, that kind of thing, the yarn it, that's fantastic for knitters and crocheters. The stitch stoppers are designed for knitting. You don't really need these in crochet.
Because your hook isn't going to lose stitches.
Liz has said before, there's a lot more gadgets for knitting because there's a lot
Knitting
more things that you
notion
need.
heavy.
It's notion. That's what I'm like. There's a phrase you have
for crochet. You need like one stitch marker that opens up, and a crochet hook and yarn. That's all you need.
And maybe yarn containment and other things. But yeah, the other stuff we're going to show off. A lot of it is more
knitters. Knitters. You need a billion stitch markers for real. Like
the Papillon. We were just referencing the Papillon.
Takes 50.
Stitch markers are your friends. So you don't have to count. Stitch markers are wonderful.
I have so many stitch markers because I have 11 Papillons-ish on needles.
And
I just keep buying stitch markers.
We have a lot of the stitch markers we have online are going to be cocoa knits because they're wonderful. We have other stitch markers at the shop. You can always ask. We've got a lot of different Clover stitch markers, things like that. It's hard to get everything up online.
For knitters, we have the flight of stitch markers.
That's a wonderful gift, like Christmas gift.
It's got, there's a split ring. There's the triangles.
We don't have a whole lot of the triangles for individual sale because they were repackaging them and they went out of stock for a while.
And I think we're sold out of them because one of our knitters keeps buying them.
Well, I think we had like one left and they might be gone now. So they aren't even advertised online because we're so low.
And then for the rings, we have small, medium, and large.
Triangles are fantastic. We have some plastic triangles here. If you're like, wait, I want to try a triangle.
If you're looking for stitch markers for a crocheter, the opening colorful stitch markers are my favorite. One box will last you.
Which are not part of the
they are not
stitch markers.
Yeah.
But we also, what is in the flight of stitch markers, or you can get independently. So the stitch markers, you get like 24 of each, I think, or something like that. If you buy the packs by themselves of a single type, and they are actual size on the label, but they're colorful inside. Some are pastel, some are rainbow. You get, of the smaller size, you get like 60. When you get up to the jumbo, I have used these jumbos more often than I thought I would. There aren't as many, but it's still a really good bang for your buck. 30 markers in here, but still really good. All of Cocoa Knit's stuff, like these, are
magnetic.
People are texting me about stuff. Please don't text me about shop stuff if you can, because it's really hard for me to get back to you. They're magnetic because they are metal inside plastic coating, or in the case of the open close stitch markers, they are they are painted, which is just wonderful. We do have a couple other things here at the shop from Knitter's Pride that will work the same way.
If you dump your stitch markers out anywhere, you just take a magnet and they all pick right back up.
A couple more things from Cocoa Knits. There's a row counter that's got metal on the back so it can stick on your Maker's Keep, which the Maker's Keep there is fantastic.
We also have a Knitter's Pride necklace that's a little wood medallion.
It looks magnetic, like wood, but it's magnetic. It's really cool. I think those might be online. I can't remember.
These will work with.
This is fun. There's magnets involved in this, but this is not mostly metal. But this is a very colorful needle gauge if you need to size your needles. These are all functional things. I love functional things, so we have tons of them. We need to go in a couple of minutes.
The one last
lessons coming in. There's a couple things we're going to show off real fast. But
for crocheters,
since it's not motion heavy.
If you love your crocheter, these are sets of crochet hooks. They're my favorite. They are a varnish.
I take one with me. It goes in my project bag, so when I'm working on crochet, I have a lot of things. It goes from like an E up to an M.
They are the sports car of crochet hooks.
Yes, they're our favorites. It's like $110 for the set, but then you're good to go for most sizes, unless you're going teeny tiny or really big. Like this serves me well on 90% of my projects.
They have a couple of pockets in the case. The case will actually stand up and display your hooks.
So you can get them out easy. It's got a little Velcro thing there that you can, ta-da, look at that.
We have, so these two sets are both the umber. And we have Rebecca's
the driftwood.
or the driftwood.
Umber is the brown stuff.
That's right.
But these look brown, but not as brown as the umber.
Yeah.
So
We have.
This is a denim case, and that is it's called
It's like
they call it
snake
faux
or
leather, but it looks like
crocodile
snakeskin to me.
or something.
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
faux.
And then
this one may or may not be online, but I know we've got the denim and the indigo, which is a blue denim,
these
and
hooks are blue.
Love it. They like blue. Same price. But blue.
Oh, they are $115.
Oh, prices have gone up. I'm sorry. Prices go up on me, and I don't realize. But I apologize for that. The other thing, I don't think we have time to show them all off, but just to remind you, oh look,
There's one of the necklaces.
there's one of the necklaces.
It comes with cable needles and a bunch of stitch markers.
Just
They're
to
great.
remind you of all the Mindful series from Knitter's Pride with like the teal green, the wooden sewing needles. If they're unique, even if they already have things like them, but they're unique, we've got tape measures that are teal. We have row counters that are teal. We have the row
Project
counter
bags.
rings. We have our deluxe project bag from Knitter's Pride with compartments.
It has lots of pockets.
Pockets are fun. We have other project bags that aren't as big. It's just, we have stitch markers. We have all kinds of fun things like gadgets and gizmos. And it's one of those, if you're not sure they have one, why not get them something else, especially if you know it's different than what they have.
And even if they have 50 project bags, you can always use one.
You can always use more project
Even
bags.
if they have
scissors, you
a
can always.
million stitch markers, you can always use more.
We got to wrap it up because we potentially have 2 people coming in, one inside, one outside, in just a couple minutes. We'll get this up as soon as we can. A reminder, join us for Knit Night tomorrow night on Zoom, 828-877-3550.
6 to 9 Eastern Standard.
Yep, and
Right.
if you want a question answered, you can write us at Dear Becky and Lizzy, Sun Dragon Art and Fiber, 35 South Broad Street, Brevard, North Carolina, 28712.
Or email me, Liz at sundragonartandfiber.com.
And the schedule for next week, I think we'll just remind you of that next week. Watch some of our old episodes. You should know by now what we do when. But hey, remember, we are inching and creeping towards 500 subscribers. So if you can subscribe to this video, share it with friends so they subscribe to stuff, because we will have a YouTube only sale for our online shop or a password to use at the shop if we hit 500 subscribers. At least give us a thumbs up if you at all enjoyed us going off about notions. So,
And cat stuff.
and cats and dogs and stuff.
And stuff.
All right. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. We will see you next week.
Bye. See you Tuesday for the adventures of Liz and Rebecca.
Da, 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 da.